the coach says, with a sprained PCL, an injury that often sidelines players for 1 to 3 weeks. Our Adam Schefter reporting that the PCL is sprained in Lamar Jackson's knee. Sounds like he won't play this week, and if that is the case, backup Tyler Huntley would start for Baltimore at Pittsburgh against the Steelers on Sunday. You see the Ravens still in first place in the AFC North, tied with the Bengals, but they have the tiebreaker because they beat them earlier in the season. Of course, they play them again there at the end of the season, as you can see on the graphic. 4 of Baltimore's remaining 5 games are against division foes, including that regular season finale at Cincinnati. But that's not a terribly intimidating schedule there for Baltimore. So if Lamar does have to miss time and they're playing Huntley for a couple weeks, what do you think of Baltimore's chances?
Well, I mean, everybody likes Huntley. He's a high-end backup, but he's not Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, frankly, the last several weeks hasn't been the Lamar Jackson we expect. This team hasn't been as good as we expect. But they still are in a decent position. They're leading, well, great position. They're leading their division, and they can pull off these wins against teams that they probably should beat, that they are better than, like the Steelers. I think the quarterback situation there is not much better, but that defense is so good. So we'll see what they can turn Tyler Huntley into, that pass rush. And I think we'll learn a lot about this team in this particular upcoming game, because the Steelers are a good team. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. And the assumption that Tyler Huntley is like similar to Lamar Jackson, I think is not true. Like, I think he looks a little bit brown like Lamar Jackson, so people are like, hey, same guy. But he absolutely is not Lamar Jackson, so let's not pretend that this team has the same capability with Lamar Jackson. Got a little too honest.
No, you're good.
Funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. We don't all look alike, yes.
Wow. Wow.
We're trying to get this,
that just happened.
We're trying to get this train back on the track. Hey, Chris Canty, when he comes back, right, when Lamar comes back, because he's not out for the year. I think we hear knee injury. Obviously, you hear, oh, it's not an ACL. Great, what a relief. It still hurts, right? I mean, the PCL, that could affect him running when he comes back.
Yeah, we saw Zach Wilson deal with a similar injury. It took him 4 games to get back. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Lamar Jackson gets back and can have an impact on what the rest of the regular season looks like. But I think the AFC North is going to come down to what happens in Week 18 when the Baltimore Ravens play against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what it is. I mean, it's not ideal for your quarterback to have a knee injury, but this is a softer part of the Ravens' schedule. So I do believe that with Tyler Huntley, a capable backup that has experience, and their defense being able to step up, you could see the Ravens be able to stay afloat and stay in that position that they're in right now at the top of that division until Week 18.
What do you think, Kimberly?
If you're the Ravens, should you be scared of the Cleveland Browns? Should you be scared of the Steelers? Like, the Steelers barely beat the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Browns, I was there. The score was lopsided, but they did not look good.
Yeah, they scored a touchdown every way you could outside of your offense.
Quarterback position.
Outside of your offense.
So if I'm the Ravens, no, I'm not feeling good that Lamar is not available. But this is a team that dealt with injuries last year, and they have confidence in him. This is not what you want beyond 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about the Ravens in the same way.
The Ravens deal with injuries every year. It seems like that organization is snake-bitten in that area. But I understand what you're saying. The Steelers barely beat some teams that aren't that good. But the Ravens also barely beat the Broncos and barely beat the Panthers. The Ravens are not as good as I think we all expect them to be year in, year out. And the thing about Lamar Jackson is he doesn't get hurt because he runs the ball. But more than other quarterbacks, his game will be diminished by injury. So, like, he gets hurt passing from the pocket. However, if you bring Lamar Jackson back, he's going to be lesser version of himself because of a knee injury than if you bring back a more traditional style of quarterback.
Lots more on that. One of the teams LeBron roots for gave Odell Beckham Jr. a physical this week. Didn't really like what they saw. According to ESPN's Ed Werder, team has concerns about Odell Beckham's recovery from a torn ACL. They say it has not progressed enough to ensure he would play before January. Here's some sound from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones on Odell Beckham and his health.
Well, I'm not confident at all. That's the issue. We all realize that issue of health. We've got a good beat on that. If this thing works, it'll improve this team now. If we don't have that, then we're in a positive situation as well. It has to improve us now. And that's a pretty tall order. It has to improve us in a way that makes sense for us as we look not only this year, but as it impacts the years to come relative to the financial aspect of it.
All right. First of all, Dominique corrected me. Apparently, LeBron does not root for the Cowboys anymore. That's outdated information. My bad.
It's fine.
LeBron.
Make mistakes.
Thanks, Dominique. He's keeping me honest today. Let's live in a world in which the Cowboys don't sign Odell because the knee is no good, or they sign him and he can't really play this year. If they don't, right? Like, are they good enough, Chris Canty, to win this year's Super Bowl?
Yeah, they're good enough to win this year's Super Bowl. They're right now the second best team in the conference due to the Jimmy Garoppolo injury, knowing that he's not going to be back in the regular season. And that change or that update with information, to me, puts so much more pressure on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys to finish the drill this season. They have a clear path when you look at it. Outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, there's no other team that you trust more than the Dallas Cowboys. Their defensive line has the highest pass rush win rate. They have the #3 scoring offense. This team can run the football. They can throw the football, even without Odell. Michael Gallup having the uptick in production, I think, takes some pressure off of that situation, the urgency that they had with the Odell negotiation. So, no, this team is good enough to win a Super Bowl. And quite frankly, the addition that we should be talking about is All-Pro Tyron Smith, who's going to get back this week in practice. You're talking about adding him to the offensive line with Tyler Smith, their rookie first-round pick. That's the area that the Cowboys really have a weakness at. They're last in pass block win rate, so adding an all-pro tackle at this point in the season is huge for them, bigger than the Odell addition.
The Tyron Smith re-addition would be nice, but I think we're dealing with similar issues with him and Odell as we don't know what version that's going to come back. So because the name on the back of the jersey reminds us of greatness of old, doesn't mean that we're going to get that back. The injury to Tyron Smith early in the season or before the season started, looked pretty bad. And we can't assume that he's going to come back at all-pro level. And the same thing for Odell Beckham. You don't know how much you need those players until other people get hurt or until something happens. But Odell Beckham, as great as he is, on a leg and a half, he's not going to be good. So, we have to understand that having those high expectations. In ACL, I tore my ACL. Most ACLs take a year or a little bit more to come back from. A lot of players have changed that perspective, but it's not true for everybody, particularly when you have multiple. It's reasonable to suggest that Odell Beckham won't be back to true form, if ever, until next season.
Right. The injury was in the Super Bowl, so about 10 months ago, so maybe not quite enough time to recover. Do they need him?
Do they need him? No. Any team that's interested in Odell right now understands he's a luxury item. He's a very nice luxury item if he's healthy. But none of the team, you didn't see the Jets or the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? There are teams that we already think are in that Super Bowl contender pool. Those are the teams that are looking at Odell. He's a guy that you add. You don't add him because you think he's going to be the focal point of your offense. You think, okay, maybe late in the division round, maybe late in the conference championship, you find Odell and he scores and you win a game. That's really what we're talking about.
All right, so let's take him. Let's take Odell. We'll take him out of this. Was it like the Cowboys as is, right? And maybe they do get Tyron Smith back, right? His practice window opens this week. They have 3 weeks to activate him. Maybe they get him back in time for the playoffs. What are the expectations for this team? Right, no, right. If they don't win the Super Bowl, right? If they lose in the NFC playoffs, is that a failure of a season?
Yeah.
All right, then.
End of the show.
First
now,
take is
next. Because think about it. Picture this, guys. The year is 1995. The last time the Cowboys went to the conference championship, and I just think about all the teams that have gone there since then. You know how many teams have reached the conference championship since 1995 when I was 4 years old?
How many?
26. 26 teams have gone to the conference championship since the Cowboys went there. That is what we're talking about. Forget Philly, forget the Bucks, forget everybody else. This is about Dallas and their failed expectations year after year. And this is why Stephen A. gets such glee out of this team losing, because they continually disappoint. And with this roster, Odell aside, they are good enough. And to not take advantage of the NFC being so weak this year, it would be a crime to me.
Is that we hold the Cowboys to a different standard for whatever reason? Because
for whatever reason?
No, it's not for whatever reason. It's because of what the owner said. That's why we hold them to a different standard.
I don't care what the owner says. I can evaluate a roster on my own.
Is it the owner the one that sets the expectation for the team?
No.
No, the owner's not.
He's not my expectations. Me watching what happens on the field is what sets the expectations.
Okay.
So how should we be looking at the Cowboys?
I think that the Cowboys are good enough to win a championship. If they do not win a championship, I don't consider the season a failure. What I expected from this team, none of us thought they were Super Bowl contenders before the season started. I don't think anybody at this table picked them as such. Now they are legitimate competitors. I think they should be able to get to the Super Bowl. If they don't make it to the Super Bowl because they lost in a random single elimination playoff game, we can't pretend like this is some sort of travesty.
Sir.
Man, that sounds good. Let me tell you what happens. Right now, if the playoffs started today, the Cowboys have to take a visit to Tampa.
Yeah.
They lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike McCarthy is getting fired, and that is representative or reflective.
I don't know if I'm gonna
that is reflective of the
not
expectations that they have
there,
on this team,
but-
and the owner put those expectations on coming into this season.
Okay, I was riding with Chris.
Yeah.
Until.
And then he just swerved off to fire Coach Lane.
It's not a swerve. It's not a swerve.
Fired?
It's not a swerve.
Oh, God.
Look, they lose to Tampa.
They won't lose to Tampa.
The team that you said is awful.
They are.
Okay.
They won't lose.
They are, but look, we're going to get back to that because I definitely want to follow up on Chris Canty firing the Cowboys coach in the first 10 minutes of the show. But we got to talk about the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, who is week to week